All right, let's just jump right in. We are about to go on this incredible journey. It all starts with a pretty simple question about our own brains, but trust me, it ends up uncovering this secret pattern that might, just might, be the blueprint for all of reality. It's going to be a wild ride, so let's do this. So check out this metaphor. It just hits the nail on the head. The brain's architecture is like Windows running on top of MS-DOS. I mean, how perfect is that? It tells you that our brain, this amazing thing, it wasn't designed from scratch. Not at all. Our most advanced thinking, our Windows, is basically just piled on top of these ancient, super clunky systems. The stuff that handles breathing or most primal fears. It's a mess. It's inefficient. But that's exactly how evolution works. And this messiness, it actually has a name. Yeah, it's called evolutionary technical debt. Now, if you've ever worked in software, you know what technical debt is, right? It's when you're stuck with some old clunky code that you just have to keep patching and working around forever. Well, the brain is like the ultimate example of that. Some of the earliest choices evolution made, like, say, where to put our visual cortex, those became permanent. They became constraints that all future development just had to build on top of. So you can't do a clean rewrite. You just have to add another layer. And you know what? It's not a bug. It's a fundamental feature of how evolution gets things done. Okay, so that raises a huge question. Is this whole process, this messy, layered, building on top of old junk process, is that just a weird quirk of biology, something specific to how we evolved? Or are we stumbling onto a clue about something way, way bigger here? And the answer is no. It's not just brains. This isn't some weird exception. According to the ideas we're digging into, this is the universal pattern. It's how all complex systems come to be. Not just brains, but technology, our cultures, economies, even life itself. This is the rule, my friends, not the exception. So what does this universal pattern look like? Well, it follows a few core rules. First, nothing ever starts from a clean slate, ever. It always, always builds on what's already there. And because of that, it creates what are called path dependencies, basically constraints you're stuck with. But here's the crazy part. It's from those very constraints that new possibilities emerge. The system accumulates all this technical debt, this old stuff, but it's not useless junk. It becomes the scaffolding, the foundation for the next level of complexity to be built upon. Okay, but wait a minute. This leads us to the central mystery, doesn't it? If everything is just built from old parts, if we're just rearranging the same old Legos, how does anything truly new ever show up? I mean, how do you get something as radical as life from a bunch of non-living chemistry, or consciousness from a network of neurons? How do you get a brand new operating system, not just another patch on the old one? The answer, according to our source, is this absolutely incredible concept called boundary closure. This is the magic moment. It's the point when a network of interacting parts becomes so tangled up, so interconnected, that it kind of folds in on itself. It becomes a self-sustaining whole, creating a clear separation between an inside and an outside. The perfect example? Think of the very first cell membrane. The second that boundary formed, it created an inside totally distinct from the outside. And in that simple act of separation, something utterly new was born. And this process, it seems to happen in 3 key steps. First, that boundary has to form, right? The system closes in on itself. But now, because you've got an inside and an outside, the system has a new problem to solve. How do we talk across this boundary? This forces a new language to emerge. It could be chemical signals, electrical pulses, or eventually even words and symbols. And here's the mind-blowing part. This new language creates a whole new world of information, a new reality. The individual neurons in your brain don't know about your thoughts, but the language that emerges from their network, the boundary they create, that's where the new informational realm of thought can suddenly exist. And this leads to the most stunning conclusion of all. It's this idea that the universe is talking itself into existence at every scale. It's not a silent, dead machine. It's a series of nested, layered conversations. Physics creates a boundary, which gives birth to the language of chemistry. Chemistry then creates its own boundaries, which allows for the language of biology. And biology creates the boundaries where the language of consciousness can finally emerge. It's just incredible. Now, looking at reality this way, it presents us with some really deep paradoxes, right? Things that seem like total contradictions. For example, is a single cell in your body autonomous, or is it completely dependent on the body? Is reality fundamentally just one unified thing, or is it a collection of countless many things? Is the universe built on order, or is it pure chaos? From where we stand, these look like impossible choices. But what if they only seem like contradictions because of our limited point of view? The source material suggests that if you could just step into a higher dimension, these opposites would totally resolve. They aren't actually opposing forces at all. They're just different sides of the same coin. It's kind of like looking at a cylinder, right? From one angle, it's a circle. From another, it's a rectangle. Which one is it? It's both. They aren't contradictions. They're just different perspectives on a more complex, unified whole. And to help us wrap our heads around this, the source gives us three really powerful metaphors. First, there's the double helix. This shows us reality as this beautiful dance between opposites, duality in unity, spiraling around a silent, still center. Then you've got the Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail. This reframes reality as a kind of prediction engine, where every single moment is consuming the past to predict and literally create the future in a self-creating loop. And finally, there's Abraxas, the symbol of the raw creative force, where consciousness itself impresses its form onto reality. The act of binding something, of creating a boundary, and the act of creating something new are one in the same. Okay, but this brings us to maybe the deepest philosophical question of all. If the source of everything is this single, complete, unified consciousness, then why? Why bother with all this complexity? Why go through the trouble of creating all these layers, all these boundaries, all this apparent separation and struggle? If you're already whole, why play the game at all? And here is the beautiful, totally startling answer that's proposed. Perhaps awe comes from limitation. It is fascinating to discover what can be from a limited perspective. Think about that. Maybe limitation isn't a flaw. Maybe it's the whole point. An infinite, all-knowing consciousness can't be surprised. It can't experience awe. But by creating these limited perspectives, like us, it gives itself the gift of discovery. The awe that you and I feel, that's the universe discovering a piece of itself, as if for the very first time. So this reframes everything. The purpose of the game, the reason for all this complexity, is to be able to experience the joy of discovery. The universe builds these intricate, limited structures for the same reason we play games or read books, for the experience. The goal isn't necessarily to get back to unity. It's to enjoy the journey of discovery that only separation and limitation can make possible. And look, this grand, cosmic pattern isn't just something out there in the stars. It is happening inside your own mind right now. The boundary between your conscious and your unconscious mind, that's what allows for self-discovery. Those aha moments, when a new insight just clicks into place, that's not just you learning something. In that moment, you are a local instance of the entire universe recognizing itself. You are a way for the whole to experience awe. And that leaves us with one last thought to carry with us. This entire engine of creation, from the first cell to your own consciousness, is driven by boundaries. So, what new languages, what new possibilities, what new moments of awe might be waiting for you right on the other side of the boundaries you hold within yourself? What could you discover if you started looking at your own limitations not as flaws, but as the very engine of your own becoming?